Hi, it's Ileana here at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and today I have Nicole Palladino with us today, and she is a sort of like a beekeeper, and she works with bees in bee conservation and rescue. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Please tell us, for the audience of the Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, what you do and who you are.
So, sure. I am a conservation biologist here in Southern California. I've been working with bees for over 20 years. The bees are something that just kind of fell into my lap after I graduated. I did a capstone project through school on our carbon footprint and things like that. And I fell in love with the idea of bees. And I realized through a lot of research that people weren't really saving bees if they had issues. It was just about extermination, whether or not they didn't know how, or there was a lot to be learned in the field. And I saw what happens to bees when they are exterminated. And it's terrifying to watch. I mean, you're watching thousands and thousands of beautiful creatures, be poisoned. And I thought there's got to be a better way than this. This is impossible. This seems like archaic. So from there, I just started learning and doing a lot of research on better ways, more sustainable, eco-friendly ways on how to save them, and why they're so important to our ecological and our agricultural environments. So I, at this time, own 2 bee removal companies that save and relocate bees, and then I also have a nonprofit called the BeeQuilibrium Foundation, which takes our rescued bees and then moves them to, we have a sanctuary. We have about 100 acres on off-grid land that's not far from where I live. And so we give our bees away at nonprofit. So to urban beekeepers, people who have lost hives, people who may not have been able to have their hives survive over winter, we try to give back anything that we can if they contact us and they need help. Even a beekeeper who's lost a lot, to start with new hives of 10, 20 hives can be, life-changing, because you can split them and just continue to have them grow. And then we also pollinate a lot of California crops for farmers that are organic farmers. And so then we move them at different times of the year that way as well, because we are the nation's leading farm state here. And just to procure, farmers go out and try to procure enough hives to pollinate their crops months in advance. And so that's not always easy, and it's very expensive for them. We definitely don't have enough hives in California to pollinate even the almond crops, which take probably close to 1 million hives a year just to pollinate almonds, which is only about 8 to 10 weeks. And then you move on to different types of fruit and stone fruits and berries and things like that. So at different times of the year, we move them and try to help as much as we can. Even the little bit that we do, we try to help. I teach as much as I can. I'm in the field a lot. I try to, when I have time, teach at schools, from children that are, very little, to universities on the importance of bees, how bees can help, why they're on a, decline, and really, truly the reasons why. And a lot of people, to not, to give them a little bit of credit in saying, a lot of people don't know why bees are so important. They see them as maybe a nuisance, or they're frightened of them, or they believe that maybe they have allergic reaction that's going to hurt them. So I try to, at that point, when I know that it's just a bit of education that they need, I try to, every day I speak to so many people, and I try to give each client or person calling within, questions, the same time that I give the person that I spoke to before, so that then they can take that information, understand like, oh, they're not just a nuisance. We really do need them. If they're coming to me, it's not to hurt me. They're smelling me, and they're looking, and their vision of their color spectrum is different than humans. So they can see outside of that, of what we can see of, and they can see ultraviolet and infrared. So it's very different. And I try to explain to them things to calm them down and help them understand. And then they can take that information on. And it does make a difference once you just educate people a little bit on the things that they didn't know. There are some people who do know and continue to make bad choices. There are people that, work for companies that I speak to. There's people that we've been fighting against legislation for about pesticide use. They don't care. It's what they do. It's the type of people that they are. So at that point, you know, what is the best to come in numbers and have certain things banned and certain types of pesticide and have legislation passed? It's difficult. California is a gorgeous, beautiful state, but it's very difficult now to get through some of the bureaucracy that's here. And so, you know, they argue about things like not using certain types of what are the reasons that the bees are on decline? And then they talk about maybe banning certain types of pesticides, and then they fight about it and all these things back and forth. And if legislation were to be passed that the bill would say killing bees, natural, you know, honeybees, is illegal unless, God forbid, there was something wrong, it was an emergency and something had to happen, that would really condense all of these matters into one, and we wouldn't have to worry about, you know, which pesticide, and then it takes months and years, and then they fight back and forth and all of this. So I just feel like sometimes, you know, people like us want the resolution, but you have to remember we're speaking to people that sometimes it falls on deaf ears. So we just keep pushing. And there's a lot of beautiful foundations. There's a lot of beautiful companies out there that support you know, organic and green ways of living. And so that's kind of, you know, what we do, and my staff and my husband also works with me, and our kids have grown up in this. And so there's a lot of things. We try to place bees on top of rooftop buildings at universities. We work with a lot of universities out here, UCs and private universities. And a lot of times they want to learn more, and then we place hives on top of like the biological sciences building, and we give either we let them stay up there as a way for the bees to pollinate the area so that we can help provide and create green belts in the cities where there's not as much, you know, it's very condensed in population. So they can pollinate up to 5 miles when the bees are going to look for food. Some of the places that we place bees, the students at these places, depending on what they're majoring in, they use it as part of like a lab, depending on what class they're in. And then they learn about beekeeping. And then they come out and they suit up and they get to see the inner workings of a hive. We donate some of the honey back to, actually the majority of it, back to the school to use in their cafeterias for the cooks. And then whatever is left of the bee, you know, for the bees. And we just try to keep little by little spreading the awareness on why this is so important. It's not just a bee that you see pollinating a flower. This is about the oxygen supply that we have, how fertile our soil is. This is about bees that pollinate 80% of our food supply, of fruits, vegetables, a large majority of the beef that people eat. Our entire cotton industry is pollinated by bees. So there's so much more to this than just a very small ramification if the bees just continue to decline, you know, the way that they are.
Yeah, and taking away their honey forcefully can kill the bees as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
you know, and when you work, a lot of these places, they're like they work them too hard. You know, I became vegan about 4 years ago. So I know that a lot of vegans talk about some don't eat the honey because they feel like it's just part of the, you know, the animal and it's not. I, on the other hand, because I work with bees so much, firsthand, you know, they're on me, we keep them, we love them. We don't forcefully take anything from them. This is like a surplus of what, you know, I eat that is minimal, but we're not killing the bees because of it. A life cycle of a worker bee is only about 45 days in the busy season. The queen is what is like the matriarch. And so she lives anywhere from 2 to 8 years and is fed a different diet when she's very young, and it changes her course of her life. But there's no going in there and kind of robbing them from their food supply, which some of these farmers, or not farmers, but these industrial commercial beekeepers, they just work them. They work them too hard, and there's, you know, there needs to be a better understanding and practice to not take that from them, because it's the only way that they can survive through the slower season. Once they have built all of their honey supply, it's their food for tens of thousands of bees, 40,000 to 100,000 bees in a colony. With one queen, 99% are females. They're the workers. You know, the drones are the males that mate, that are there for mating, but are kicked out of a hive at a certain point. So it's very important to treat them respectfully and kindly. And I've been a psychic. I felt like I started picking up on my abilities when I was very young. And I was very connected to animals and very connected to the environment. And I can hear things in the wind, in the air. I can hear them from the trees. I can hear them from the animals. I can hear them from the bees. And it's almost it's a frequency, it's a vibration of the sound that they make. And it's gorgeous. And they are very smart. They've been around. They have bees that are petrified in amber that are 120 million years old. So they definitely have something over us, the Homo sapien, that's been here, the least amount of time on this planet. So we need to respect them. And when we do that and we open our heart to realize the importance of them, it's almost like a win-win, because when you open your heart to that, you open your heart to the higher levels of consciousness to help you understand the simplicity in all of this is really how we get back to, I think, who we were and who we intend to hope to be to move forward as a species. But we have to make changes. And it's easy, and there's little things you can do, but it's just about making people aware of, why they're so important.
Yeah, because bees, they pollinate the flowers, they pollinate the trees, they pollinate different plants, and they're not just an insect, they're an animal. Bees are wisdom keepers. They pass on information. They teach new bees that are born, where do you go to pollinate? So they're like the colonies are the roadmaps to teach the future bees that are born. So
smart. They're so smart. And I will send you some videos actually of up close and personal. Maybe you can post them of like what it looks like to really be in a hive with bees right in your face, looking at a queen and seeing like what a queen, looks like. And you feel almost exalted, like she's blessed you with her presence. She's so gorgeous. And when people understand that bees they all have a job to do. So it's not like this chaos. And I make, comments sometimes like the bees are what are trying to teach a peopled kingdom, how to live in order, because they all are very smart. They don't fight. They're not destroying each other, right? They're keeping it clean. They're feeding the queen. They're feeding new babies. They're feeding larvae at different stages. And then they go out, and when they become too large, and a queen starts laying specific cells, the workers build specific larger cells to lay eggs in that are going to become potential new queens. It's a larger cell, and the queen lays eggs in there, and then that larva is only fed after 4 or 5 days. It doesn't go on to a pollen diet. It's changed into a royal jelly diet, and that is what changes the entire biological structure and ability for the ovaries to be able to grow, and she's fertile. And so when new queens emerge, the old queen will split off and take a portion of the colony to another place to start building a colony somewhere else. And a new queen will stay behind and reign over this hive. But when the bees go out and they're looking for places to scout, and they're sitting as a swarm, like you see a swarm sitting on a bush or a tree, and it's this round mass. And people think that there's, a hive inside, because we were taught when you were little, that the beehives look a certain way, but they really don't look like that. People were really fascinated to think that, if I put my hand through it, it's just solid bees. There's no comb in there yet, when it's just a swarm that's branched off from their hive, left for a few hundred feet, found a nearby fence, bicycle, tree, bush, eave of a house. And then those scouts go out and they look for areas to find for more shelter, and they communicate. They fly backward when they leave the colony. They fly at a certain arc. They map and memorize the entire terrain of what flowers are there, what the landscape looks like, so they can remember where they're going, where they're scouting, where they're coming back to. And then they're taking this information and they're giving it back to their colony to say, there are potential new homes this far away, with water, with food. And then based on a dance that they do, right? The bees dance in different, whether they're doing circles or whether they're moving back and forth and wiggle dances, they're communicating, and they vote on the best location that has come back. You know, the bees bring the information back. They vote on where they're going to go, and they move all together to this new location that's going to provide them the ample shelter that they need. So when you see that big kind of frenzy, you know, in the sky when bees are flying and it looks like very, very scary, that's just their protective mechanism, because the queen is in there somewhere and they're following her. So they're communicating to keep kind of everything else, you know, at bay. It's like a shield, right? It's like their shield. So then they find their place, and then she'll land, and they'll all gather around her, and they'll start building their new colony. But it's like a stone, a Morian, or like a record keeper, but like you said, wisdom keeper of all of this information.
And how do they build their hives when they find a place to settle?
So they use the comb. The honeycomb is based on a gland that they secrete from their, it's a substance from their glands that they secrete. And they take that substance, an enzyme, and basically they use that with a mixture. Only a certain type of bee in a certain age group is secreting this type of enzyme from their glands. And then they are using that to actually build the wax. And the hexagon, amazingly, I mean, I studied and measured honeycomb. They're perfect. They don't have a ruler. They don't have any type of, you know, calculator. Each cell is perfect. When you hold a piece of honeycomb up to the sun through one hexagon, you can see directly through it a point where it meets of 3 other partial pieces of hexagons behind it, right? So its stability is one of the strongest in math. And so geometric, you know, sacred geometry, right? We're back to the same thing. Always the simplicity of it's the answers in numbers. And so they take that, they build that, and they take, basically, when you have like propolis, it's taken from different types of trees and bark, and it's like a sticky substance. And then it's mixed with pollen and nectar, and they use that to attach the first part of the honeycomb. Actually, let's say it's inside of somebody's wall. There's a hole in their wall, and there's a beam inside wood. They attach that propolis onto that. It's like glue. Then they start building their hive with these layers of honeycomb that you will see. They will be long vertical layers. If they only have a small space to build in, you know, they're brilliant. They will form their comb to the shape of whatever the cavity looks like. And I can also send you some pictures of that. It's absolutely fascinating. They will follow the shape of things. And then once that honeycomb is up, it's that light cream color, very soft. And that is now going to be used for the queen to start laying eggs. And then also, which will be more toward the middle. And then you'll have like a pollen band on the top of that, which is the easily accessible food that the bees are bringing back, the pollen. The bees are bringing it back from the flowers. They're coming to the front entrance of the hive. They're taking off the pollen from their sacs, which is this, you know, on the side of their legs. They're transferring it to another bee that has a different job. That other bee is then working in sync with other ones to go and deposit that pollen into those cells, right? And it's time. This doesn't happen very quickly. I mean, these bees, they work themselves, you know, tirelessly. And so then once that the pollen is put in, and that it could be many different flowers that they pollinate from. You can have pollen that is very different in color. In one cell, it could be dark orange, yellow, purple, depending on the flowers. And then once it's full, they cap it with a light type of wax, the same thing. It's made from basically their nectar, so that the honey doesn't leak out. And a natural process, honey is then made from the pollen that's there into pure honey, and then it's capped so it doesn't come out. And then you have brood in the center, and then you have some areas of the hive that is solely for honey. So some of it will just be full layers full of honey, and some will have a lot of brood on it, depending on where it is. When people are like urban beekeeping or doing beekeeping commercially or whatever, when you have boxes, so let's say you have a hive body, right? And you open the top of the box and people see these layers of frames in there, and there's wax in there, and it can either be a natural wax or it can be plastic, which we don't use. I don't like it. But if you have a box, let's say 10 frames, and then you have another box below it, like when we keep our hives, wherever the queen is allowed to go, right, in these boxes, because she's much larger, there's going to be larvae in it. There's going to be brood. When you want to stop the queen from potentially not laying any more eggs in these places, you put something called a queen excluder, which is a metal grate, and the slats are smaller. She won't be able to get through them. So when you place other boxes on top, they're known as basically the honey boxes, then you don't have any more brood in those places because the queen cannot pass through there, and she'll stay in the areas where, and then that's where people harvest their honey from.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you, like, if somebody calls you and they say, we have a bee colony, can you move it safely? So what is that process like for your team and you?
Yeah, so we get calls. Bees can be anywhere from on a tree, they could be in a meter box in the ground. Bees don't discriminate. That's the beautiful thing. They could be 70 feet up in a sign, on the side of a freeway for a car company. It could be anywhere. A lot of the times they're in wall voids and roof structures. So they find their way into underneath people's sheds a lot. So we get a call, I find out, where they're at, how long they've been there, if they've ever tried to remove them before. And it's very important because spraying bees, one, is terrible for the environment. The bees are gonna die. You're spreading pesticide that is toxic through the air, it's airborne, right? Mm-hmm. But then you're causing this beautiful colony that was intact, working. They fan their wings continuously to keep the honey from melting and from it coming apart. So when you take that away, now as the warmer weather comes, the honey will start to melt inside. The larvae will start to rot because the bees aren't being fed, right? And so then you have something that was beautiful and pristine become a mess, and it's rotten, and then other bees are going to try to inhabit the area. Other unwanted pests and rodents will see it as an abandoned food source. And then honey attracts moisture, so it can ferment and cause mold issues. So while pest control companies say, oh, we could take care of this, you just spray it, a lot of people don't understand the ramification of it. Again, just trying to teach as many people why. And now you can look on the internet and find a lot of great information about why not to leave bees in a colony in a structure. But when they call us, we find out, and then we go out and basically we use a lot of thermal imaging. So if they're in a structure, over time you learn when you see an entry point where they're going to be. Sometimes they're very smart and they travel quite a ways, several feet from where they're entering. And we, at that point, if it's in a meter box or it's exposed, we have made equipment that we have patents pending on very low pressure types of vacuums where we can control the intensity. The bees are not harmed at all. No wings are broken, no bees are hurt, but we can get them into our containers where we can transport them. And inside we build what looks like we make it simulate like a swarm environment inside. So we have different branches inside. We may have some flowers, we may have some greenery, we may cut some things from a customer's yard, but we have all of our branches that we have in there, before, so that they have somewhere to hold on to. So they're not just all, laying on each other, so that they can go inside and be calm. All of the bees are then taken, and then if that is just a swarm, there's no honeycomb, then we're able to take those, the tops come off and they're completely ventilated. So you can look through and see all of the bees inside. And then those are taken back to our property and then moved from there into bee boxes. And then at that point, sometimes they don't even make it that far and they're taken and given to people who need them and they want them right away. But at that point, they're put in bee boxes, and then depending on what the community needs or our farmers, they're given away or they're kept at our sanctuary to live free of pesticide, live free of the threat of extermination. Some of this land has really never, I don't think, been walked on by humans. maybe thousands of years ago, but now, I mean, it's a very sacred spot, so they can stay there and live. If it's an area where we have to remove honeycomb, then we do the same type of process, but we will sometimes take boxes with us, and the frames are there and there's wire, but instead of having some wax already on there, we'll take their honeycomb and we'll cut it and we'll press it in to the wire that's there to already give them some of their own food, a bunch of their own brood and babies, right? And that's how you can just, it's jumpstart a hive, put them into these boxes, and then let them go live and thrive and flourish. And then we completely clean the areas. We're 100% natural. We neutralize the pheromone to get rid of the smell. And then we repair the structures for them and take all kinds of videos and pictures for them. And a lot of the times, a lot of the honey that's there that may be in excess that we're not going to put in the box, it's given to our customers. We want them to understand and enjoy a part of that too, you know, so they can see, because when you see from the outside, some bees coming and going out of like just a hole, you don't realize there's a hole. It's like seeing the top of an iceberg. You don't realize what's happening underneath until you open it up and they're like, oh my gosh, this is happening in my house or my roof or my wall. And yeah, so it's a fascinating experience for them.
And in the old days, they used to like smoke the bees out of the boxes and collect the honey, but is that safe to do still, or are there better ways to do that?
So when you use smoke, a lot of the times people will get some information that's not correct, like about smoking bees out of a tree, right? A hole in a tree or a cavity in the tree, or I can just smoke them out of wherever they're at. Smoke doesn't do that. Smoke is used primarily, it's eucalyptus, pine, cedar, all natural, burlap. So it's used specifically to block their intruder senses. So when the bees have that sense calm down, they are not they become less apprehensive and they're not as worried about somebody coming in to their colony and kind of looking around. So it's just a temporary kind of veil. And then it makes them go and kind of eat up their honey and gorge on it. And then they get tired kind of quickly. Then they're relaxed, and then beekeepers can work with them. So it's a way that a beekeeper just starts establishing a routine with them, and you don't need very much smoke at all. It's not like you're smoking them out, like to where they're it's just too smoky, like a headache almost. It's just a little bit. And then you have a little bit of time, but beekeepers establish, and bees also remember the faces of the people that are around them a lot. And so many times you'll just smoke the top of a box before you open it. You'll open a little bit, give it a little bit of smoke, let it calm down for a few minutes, and go in there and work with them. The majority of our colonies, we don't even have to smoke. We go in there and remove them. Sometimes they will be aggressive. And that comes from not the whole idea of Africanized killer bees here, because I think a lot of people get scared too. They see bees and automatically think that they're Africanized, but there's no way to actually tell by looking at a bee unless you look under a microscope. The very, very small differences in the biology of the bee. But bees become aggressive because they've either been somewhere for a very long time, so they have heightened awareness and they have more guards that are protecting the colony. And they have a lot to imagine your home, somebody coming into your home. That's their whole life is there, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes they become aggressive and they start coming out to your face, right? This is where they really are smart and they care about coming to intimidate you here. So if you think about a bee being so small, but could make a grown man, 200-pound man, take a hike and run as fast as he can, we should understand that they're really important if they have the capability to do that, right? So they come to warn you, they come look at you, in your face, and they might bounce off of your veil or in your face or come toward your jugular. And generally it's just trying to tell you to back up. They don't know what you're trying to do. Yep. So sometimes the majority of the time we say, okay, just give them a little bit of time. Let's smoke them and see if they can calm down. Because once you get through the the guards, the rest of the colony is like utopia. They're all just kind of, oh, hey, hi, you're coming in, fine. The guards are then calmed down. There are some times during the year very minimal, but we have come into some very, very, very aggressive hives where our number one priority too is keeping the public and ourselves safe. So there's nothing we can do to calm these bees down. You're talking about thousands and thousands of bees that are going for your jugular. My staff and I have been stung multiple times, probably because it's a hybrid hive. So if you think that a queen is the one who is releasing these different types of pheromone, she has the ability to control all of these workers. One queen. And they don't usually, if you think a hive has 50,000 bees in it, they don't all get to see her. So it's very smart how they work together. She has a certain pheromone that she releases, and if everything is good and happy and copacetic, she'll release a pheromone, and the bees will rub it on each other's bodies and shoulders, and it's basically a transfer to bees that are maybe a foot away, working on different parts, that once they get that pheromone, they know everything is good, they keep working, everything is fine. And so if there's a threat or if she's gone, they're no longer receiving that. God, maybe she died, she became injured, something happened, that information reaches those bees. So if you have a queen that's more aggressive, that has maybe been taken over by a hybrid, more aggressive hive, that is what is controlling the majority of the population. So sometimes when we have a hive that is aggressive, we can requeen the hive and replace that queen that's in there with a very docile, gentle queen. And you introduce her in certain ways, and then they calm down. So it's really fascinating how they're really listening to their queen on, is everything okay? Should I be worried? Should I not? And then they just seem to calm down. But I think a very minimal amount of time do we run into hives that are very aggressive, to where, like, I know that one of our guys has picked up an older lady. She was walking across the street. They became crazy. He had to pick her up, throw her over his shoulder and run, down the street, or different crazy things that we've experienced. But for the majority, 99% of the time, it's an awesome experience. So.
And people don't understand that bees are the pollinators, so they pollinate the flowers, the trees, everything, and that's what gives us the oxygen to breathe.
Correct. So they accidentally, when they're going and eating the pollen, right, and they're picking the nectar, they're accidentally, when they go from flower to flower, because they pollinate so much in a day, they're accidentally dropping the pollen of other flowers to other plants, other flowers. So the cross-pollination is constantly happening, right? Which is what gives way to the flourish of our flora that's here, right? And our fauna, and the things that are the most important to be biodiverse and keep this running, or it doesn't happen anymore, right? It ceases to exist. So they're pollinating over 100,000 different crops of fruits, vegetables, like I said, cotton, alfalfa, and then it's making the soil richer. And if you have more growth of these things, that is causing an increase in your oxygen. And these things are what takes your CO2 as you exhale out of your lungs. Those plants and those trees are what takes that in from us and cleans our air. It's the master, they're the master pollinators, and outside is the master filter, to our air. So when you keep cutting down and you urbanize the lands that were the farmlands, and you take out things and you put concrete, it's changing what bees have available for them to be able to eat, what is happening. And I know a lot of people talk about climate change. I'm no way an expert on it. I will have, my parts and pieces of research and what I see with the bees. But I know that climate change, part of it is normal and it is part of Earth's cycles. And I know that a lot of places where the polar ice caps are melting, many of them have grown over the last 5 years, So there's a lot of information out there that can be contradictory. People just need to research and understand. But climate change also happens in certain parts of states. When you urbanize so much land, you don't have the condensation or the wetness that's coming from all of this going into the sky, recycling itself, causing the patterns of the weather of rain and everything else. So that's a huge part of it too. If you look at dry land like Arizona that doesn't get a lot of rain, they don't have a lot of trees in certain areas. They don't have a lot of, it's not that the foliage is very, very bare in certain areas. And the more that we do that here in California, the same thing is happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to have gardens, to have fruit trees, to have plants where the bees can come and pollinate, invite them in and pollinate.
And so I tell people, even if you don't know about bees, even if you are scared of bees, even if you don't want to ever keep bees, they say, what can I do to help? You can plant a garden. Just start. Start with some tomatoes, start with anything, start with some flowers. Start with, what if you're in an apartment, window box on your, a flower box window for your flowers. Easy things. Spreading the awareness to somebody else that may ask you. If you ever get the opportunity to say something, say it. And so those little things are very, very important on a large scale, right? Because sometimes people think, oh, if I do it, it's not going to make a big difference. But the impact of you doing it, us talking now, the people that will see this, that some will know, some will be informed, some will learn, some will be fascinated. This is how you spread the information. I mean, if bees can work by, same thing, spreading and rubbing the pheromone of their queen throughout an entire colony and keep this working pristine, we can spread information this way. And I also tell people, we become so ungrounded that the earth we're energetic beings. The earth has an energetic charge to it. You can prove this by taking a rod, putting it into the dirt. If you have, something that just tests electricity, right? Yeah. You can hold the other end of it yourself while the other post is in the ground. If you're barefoot on dirt, sand, it's going to light up, right? You have the energy flowing through you. So when we put our shoes on, we have these synthetic soles and rubber, we're totally not grounded. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you're being in nature, whether your hands are in the dirt, your feet are in the sand, your feet are in the grass, on the park, walking barefoot. It's really, really important for your health. It can lower your anxiety right away. It reduces inflammation in your body. It has a million different health benefits to even from your heart to your brain to your stomach, everything. So again, we're back to nature, the importance of it, right? And the bees' part in it, and doing what we need to do, our part, a little bit here and there makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have a lot of heather and we have some fruit trees in our yard, and right. I see bees come every year, and bumblebees and other insects as well.
And your trees are bearing fruit.
Yes, because it's a pollinator tree.
Exactly.
The bee has to pollinate it for it to bear fruit.
Exactly.
So what people don't.
A lot of times people have fruit trees and they have zero pollination, and they'll say, this season I didn't get really any fruit, or I got a minimal amount, or it wasn't as good as it has been in the past because of, the pollination. And a lot of times people don't really know the reason why, but there could be an increase of bees in their neighborhood because somebody has bees living in their structure. They've migrated. Now they're in a city tree. Now they're in a tree down the street, right? Bees are everywhere. You just don't realize it. They are now, because we have like the eye for it, we could be out and just like, there's a swarm. Oh my God, there's bees flying over there. Like we're keen on kind of picking up those places that a lot of times you don't even realize. So when people get frightened, I'm like, there's more bees around you than you can imagine. You just don't see it. Sometimes people don't want to get rid of their bees, that they're not in the best location because they've been pollinating their yard and their fruit trees, but they're not in the best location in their home. So I tell them, have you ever considered keeping your own bees? We can take these bees out, get them relocated because they're very smart. If you try to take bees that are established in somebody's house or on their property, and you try to put them in a bee box, they'll abandon the box and then try to go back to where they were. So it's like a rule that we use. You try to move them more than 2 miles away from where they were, so that they don't come back and try to inhabit this area again. So I say, I'm willing to, how about this? If you want to keep them, I'll teach you. I'll give you some great resources. I'll give you bees for free. I'll tell you where you can get your supplies. We'll swap these ones out, give it a little bit of time. If it's not spring or summer, I would say just wait. But then we go and we place hives on people's properties all the time, and we teach them about them, and they love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have, like, I have a big backyard, so I just make sure to plant a lot of flowers, a lot of heather. I have one fruit tree right now because I want to invite them in to come every year and pollinate the flowers in the tree. So that's how you invite them into the garden. You plant things they want to come to, flowers and trees.
And then you have the butterflies coming, the monarch, which are huge. They're also a huge pollinator. So, and they also are seeing huge declines. And then you have the power lines, and you have the pests, right? So you have the power lines, and then you have all the frequencies that are hurting them. And people wonder kind of how or why, because they fly, you know, the frequencies are invisible to us. We feel them. For the bees, it's like when they're flying in the air, they're going through them. They're picking them up. And so many now are unnatural. When I say unnatural, their shapes and their frequencies, some are very, very low in frequency that are very bad. Some are very high in frequency that are very bad. But they're very unnatural in their shapes. And this is causing the bees and people to become sick sometimes, because they are picking up on basically what's happening exactly. And the bees are becoming forgetful, like dementia. It's messing with their brain activity. They are forgetting how to come back to their colony. I've had beekeepers call me and say, I don't know what happened, but I just lost my all my bees overnight, or 10 of my hives or 30 of my hives they're gone, they're abandoned, they're not there anymore. Collapse, you know, that the colony collapse that you hear about is just umbrella for all the reasons it could be causing this. They cause digestive issues. They forget how to get to the flowers of where they're supposed to pollinate, and then how they get back to their colonies. So it's abandonment almost. And it's sad because it's affecting them greatly. And it's also, so I had made like a couple of notes. And one of the things I wanted to tell you with these frequencies is when you have exposure to them, it causes heat in the body. Basically, these EMFs cause like a dielectric heating. So whatever, they use it for different processes, processing food, drying wood, but dielectric heating from these power lines and from these cell towers and stuff, they are heating up the bodies of anything that's around them, mammals. This is a huge problem. It's happening to humans, it's happening to bees, and they're small. You know, they can only take so much. So I know we want this widespread growing technology, but I also know that there's ways that a lot more research is going to have to be done. And I really do want to play a part in that, of understanding how to properly magnetize some of these towers and some of these areas where these frequencies are really bad. They can be magnetized in a certain way. And I'm talking literally about putting gigantic magnets up to completely change the frequency that's coming out of them, the harmful part of it, to a what is very benevolent, to harmonious, to it being something that you will have birds flying around because they're happy. You will have things flying around them because it makes them feel good. And you can offset this and change the way that the frequencies are coming out. But again, it comes down to why they're there and, you know, what people want them as their purpose, and kind of the underlying people that put them up. So,
but even with magnets, you have to be careful. If the frequency of the magnet is too strong, it could harm the auric fields of the person. So the magnets have to be very specifically calibrated.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. And I see these cell towers going up all over the place, all over, and they look. So we work with, this is, and I can send you a couple of videos. It's pretty fascinating. We work with cell towers a lot. Bees get into, you know, those ones that look like big trees, right? All the conduits coming out of it. There's tiny little openings where maybe screws have gone in. Bees go inside there. The guys come to work on it from the companies. They can't, right? So they call people like us. We go up in lifts. We work up there to remove them. A lot of times these cell companies are putting equipment inside the top of buildings that are high up that you don't even know that they're there. Yeah. Let's say you're at one of your malls and it's a high, you know, building. They'll put another little small structure on top, and there'll be a whole bunch of cell tower equipment inside of it. So you don't even see it. They'll rent it and from people. We just went to an old abandoned winery of 100 years old that's still standing about 60 miles from here. And it is laden with so much cell equipment. And we have to be careful because all these places we can't step into because it's, we have the guider, you know, we check it. They have to turn these panels off because there's alpha waves, beta waves, gamma waves, and they can be very, very harmful to you to be exposed to them in the future. Yeah. So we work in a lot of places like that too, but yes, I definitely think that there's room for understanding what we can do to change this. To change why these frequencies are this way and why are they so unnatural? Why do they have to be so unnatural?
Yeah, and it just looks ugly when too much cell towers or electricity towers are put up. They're ugly as well.
Yeah, they're around the neighborhood. Thank God I'm not like I'm in a suburban area where our sanctuary is. There's nothing. You don't hope to use your cell phone because there's zero. You know, there's zero service, but some of them out here, they are not at least like the prettier ones where they make it look like a big palm tree. Yeah. You know, these are ugly. These look like machines from somewhere in the past, future, whatever it is. I can feel them. My energy I pick up on is very sensitive to stuff like that. And I was driving down the street and we were at a red light just not too far from here. And I felt terrible all of a sudden. And I was like, I asked my husband, I'm like, what? I don't know. I'm like, just be careful when you go through the light. Maybe just watch out for an accident or somebody coming through. And I'm like, what is that feeling? I look up and just recently they put up the ugliest black, like monstrosity of this cell tower in the middle of, I don't understand. Over all these people's homes, they put them on school property. And there's places where people have them on school property, elementary schools, that children have ended up that walk that route every day to come to school and go home. They've ended up with cancer in all different parts of their body. And these kids are 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. How's this possible?
Yeah, they have to find better means of making, if you have to have towers, you have to make them small and you have to make them harmless. So the frequencies and energies don't harm people. Like you don't need to have huge, big electrical towers. Because I was just looking at apartment buildings for a friend for rent stuff. And the condos look nice and it backs up onto a park and stuff. But when I do like the Google Maps zoom out from the building, what do I see? 4 electrical towers, huge 100-foot towers. close to the building. I'm like, oh no, I don't think that's a good place for
Right.
a person to live.
You know what? I think about this now. You know, like when you, I'm not sure where, if it's the same way where you live, it probably got to be. You know, like when you have the nurseries, the gigantic nurseries that sell all the flowers and plants, they're generally in that pathway of all of the large electrical towers.
Yeah.
There's usually no houses built there because of that. But the majority of nurseries, I can tell you for every single one that I know, they're all in a pathway of those huge electrical towers. People are working there every day for years. All of the plants and fruit, plant and trees and everything is literally being exposed to it every single day.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I'm like, well, the building is nice with the condo to rent, but just walk a little bit down the road and that's above the building. I'm like, no.
So you're like, if you want to be sick or, you know, and these type of frequencies cause things in the body that you don't really know how to pinpoint. I'm not feeling well today. I have really low energy, and energy doesn't just go away. Energy is infinite, right? So it's not like you lose energy.
Yeah.
Because you're blocked somewhere and you're not allowing the energy to flow through you. So just because you're like, oh, I lost, I'm so low on energy, or I lost it, doesn't happen like that. There's a blockage, and that's what causes dis-ease. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's hard, because you don't know, I have a headache, or I'm not feeling well, or I'm a little bit nauseous, or I'm noticing a difference. Maybe my hair is shedding more,
or falling out.
Digestive issues.
Yeah.
But then you have to start to think about, where is the food that you're getting, right? What is that being exposed to? Or organic, before people didn't really understand, ew, organic, what does that mean? It's simply without the use of pesticide in it, right? Because if you see in the stores, all of your stuff that's not organic, beautiful color, a lot of it's treated, a lot of it's fake to give it, you know, the look that it is, but they're all like identical. They all have like almost the same shape and size, and organic food doesn't look like that. It will be, some are small, some look misshapen, some look a little dirty from the dirt, or some that, so you wash them off, but those are from soil rich, you know, crops that you don't have pesticides in them and genetically modified food. So,
or even fertilizer. It's not pesticide, but it could have chemicals in it.
absolutely.
So fertilizer also has to be organic.
Absolutely, you're right. And it's scary because you can have a crop next to you that is not organic. They're spraying, it's airborne, it's coming over in the air, it's coming onto your crops.
Yeah.
And as that continues to happen, then the same thing. And it's getting into the drip system of the water. So that's soil, it travels. Water is what flows, you know, water will take the shape and find its way through anything. It's making its way to these places. And one of the things that really is sad is some of the pesticides that they're using are called neonicotinoids, and it is a nicotine-based pesticide. So when the bees are going to pollinate from these flowers, they are tasting this, and nicotine, you know, is very addictive, very, very addictive, more addictive than heroin, could be said.
Yeah.
So they're blocking their senses, they're feeding on it, they're becoming numb to it, they're going back to it, they're bringing it back to the colony. Those things are in our water supply. It's what's making our soil, it's not even dirt. I don't even know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you want to call it? And these are the things that over time make you sick, that you would never think are making you sick.
Or glyphosate, that's such a horrible pesticide.
It's so bad for you. And I know that it increases all of these things, Alzheimer, dementia,
cancer,
aluminum.
Yeah.
The aluminum and things, the mercury, the aluminum that deposits of heavy metal toxicity into the brain is what causes such an increase. There's more Alzheimer's now than ever before. There's more animals with cancer than ever before. And I'm convinced that part of it is because, depending on the food that you feed your dog, yes, is it good or not? Depending on your water, it should, you know, have those at least charcoal little filters that you can replace all the time, you know, every month. But dogs don't wear shoes.
No.
They are walking outside on the ground. And how do you know how many of your neighbors has a monthly pesticide spray on their property, on the perimeter? How do you know where you're taking your dog to the park that city is not treating that grass?
With
So
glyphosate.
whatever's on their feet is soaking directly into a porous paw, skin, getting into their body little by little by little. They're licking their paws.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, if you just through deduction figure out what was happening before when things weren't so bad and people weren't so sick compared to what is happening now, there's only a few factors of the things that it can be, and you can't deny it.
No. I mean, glyphosate has been banned in some states in the US, and other states are still fighting to ban it, but there's new pesticides coming out. So you ban one thing, then something else more disgusting comes along and you're being polluted again. It's in the air, it's in the rain, even the rain accumulates.
Acid rain, that's where you get the terms of acid rain. And some of these people now that have gotten some of these huge storms of weather in the US of snow, some of this snow is not natural by any means. It doesn't, and some people were doing kind of videos and showing like a snowball and they were trying to light it on fire and it wasn't burning, but you have to be careful because that kind of can not be exactly right scientifically. If you hold a flame of a lighter really close to something very cold, it's not going to melt. You're going to see the carbon ash left over on the, you know, on it, and it's not able to change the molecules from a frozen to something that's liquid that quickly. But if you held a bigger flame to something, that snowball should melt. If you put it into the microwave, it should melt. Mm-hmm. It's not melting. It's snapping and popping, and it's like electrified in not a good way. And some people have actually tested this snow, sent it in, and have come back, and they have found that the levels of aluminum are 300 times the reportable level of aluminum in the snow. So it's coming.
Yeah.
Right?
And with the invention of the crop sprayers, the airplane crop sprayers, it's worse now because you could spray the crops and you're done within 5 minutes, but you're infested somebody else's crops with that spray. It's not just the land sprayers, because before it was just the land sprayers. Now it's the crop field sprayers from above.
Absolutely. And then you have chemtrails of whatever else they are trying to experiment with that they aren't telling you about. And the weird formation of clouds that are out there. And I would be growing up like young and look and think like, why are there so many like perfect X's in the sky? This is not normal. I don't care what anybody says, it's not normal. And you would watch them and, you know, there's stories, no, this is a contrail. No, it's not. You're watching these things and people then start to not feel good afterwards, you know, for several days afterwards. So I feel like now is really our time to, if we're going to push our human race forward and evolve, because I believe that we had a lot maybe previously that we don't have right now. But I know, and I know that we did.
Yes, Atlantis,
right?
Lemuria.
Yes, and I know it. And the veil that's here now of like amnesia that comes to you upon your first breath is so thick this time around that if we don't pierce this veil, and some of the population, maybe a small part of it, will not come on board, not wake up. I understand not everybody gets to the same place in life at the same time. But as a collective, if we're going to do this, we have really got to see that the people that we've entrusted to treat us right and keep us healthy are the ones that are not.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about your family. I'm not talking about your friends. I'm talking about everything that you've ever learned. And it is even for people like me, you talk about like people being woke. I don't they are completely opposite of what, good is, the higher, greater good for humanity. If you're really aware and awake to what's going on, the people that you've entrusted as far as the pharmaceuticals should be FARM, pharmacology, not PHAR. You understand, like the medicine, it's poison. They give you poison to tell you that it's making you better, and then you got sick, and then they're going to give you more poison and more poison and more poison until you died. And it's like a grim way to look at things, or you break free from that cycle and you start questioning and you start looking yourself and you start separating yourself from it and saying, maybe the government didn't have my best interest. Maybe Monsanto isn't a good company. Maybe genetically modified food that has so much chemicals put onto these shells of food so that they are untouchable from anything that the earth throws at them, maybe they're not good.
Exactly. You know? And it's about reteaching the huge corporations about responsible business, organic business, not the way you do business now. That's not ethical. No. So you have to rewrite everything from the ground up, rework it, rewrite it, look at business structures. How is business done? You got to change that to a better way of doing business.
That's true. And a lot of people who work for these corporations, lower down in the organizational chart, they don't know the truth. A lot of them think they're working for a great place.
Yeah.
But as you get higher up, if you think that the people that are hurting us are going to tell us the truth, don't hold your breath. It will never happen.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to be a responsible business to leave a very low carbon footprint. I don't rent an office space. I try not to use a lot of electricity. I try not to use Wi-Fi too much, 5D, I try not to use so much of the 5G, not 5D.
I like more people to move to 5D.
Yeah, that would be nice. 5G. Yeah, but responsible business, it's like leave a small carbon footprint. I don't rent a space. I don't use up too much electricity. I work from a small office at home and everything is online. So I don't physically inhabit a space where I take up too much time.
I'm out of my house,
yeah,
and doing everything here so that I don't have to do that and then buy all those things and have that place and run all of that. I don't want to do that.
Because that's extra driving, that's extra fuel, that's extra travel time.
And extra bills, extra money.
Yeah, and it leaves a huge carbon footprint.
It's true. I don't want to do any of that. And then the sad part is electricity that we're paying for. I don't know how much it is where you are, but here in California, it's probably one of the highest states across the country. So then we're paying for electricity that we could harness from the sun for free for a minimal amount, but we're paying the corporations. It's all about money and greed. And those people sometimes at some point, they're never going to get it because they don't want to, and it doesn't matter. And that is something that they're going to have to deal with. So breaking down these corporations when it comes to a point of what's the highest good, what is the highest vibe timeline that we could be on right now, it's about dismantling these corporations. Yeah. It's about boycotting them and not using them then. It's about reporting them. It's about, you have to realize there's a very few number of them compared to us. They're outnumbered by, the millions. So we could harness the energy, just what lays on the top of the ocean. We could harness energy off of the top of the ocean that could power everything, desalinization plants. It's like they're just wasting time, and then we have to pay for our water that is like from the sink, but they call it purified, but they just put it into a bottle, which is plastic, which that hurts you too. Or if you ever see water that says it's added electrolytes, don't drink it. If it's ever been touched with, don't touch it. It means they've done something to it. So when you have like Fiji water, other water that has natural amounts of magnesium and sodium in it, drink that if it comes from a spring and it's untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that people are like, oh, I got this, added this and added that, and I could drink, all these different types of reverse osmosis, and sometimes for certain health benefits, it can be okay in those times. But for everything else, they're lying to you, and they put tap water into a bottle, closed it, and they sold it to you for like $4 for a big bottle.
Well, I could tell the difference between tap water and mineral spring water. Exactly. My body will get sick if I drink tap water that has chlorine in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there was a special that was done. It was on Netflix. Zac Efron did something with another gentleman called Down to Earth. And he did a series where he traveled all around the globe and did just maybe 10 episodes of something that they picked each time to talk about. It was a beautiful series. And one of them was all on water. And if you thought you knew about water, you really didn't. And all the different types of beautiful, amazing artisan water that we don't even have here, that you could go and find and buy, that actually nourishes the body. You feel amazing compared to what they give you here. In France, there are water stations and depots set up all over the country where people can go and fill up their bottles and jugs and things for free of beautiful, healthy water. So it was about showing this. And if you didn't know about water, why it's so important and what it does to the body and how the pH is so important, and stuff like that. So yeah, all of these things, little by little, when you start to learn, you realize, wow, I thought I knew a lot, but then that's when you realize there's so much more.
Exactly. And you teach businesses ethical practices for bee relocation. Don't destroy the bees. Let us come in, relocate, and you're not killing anything or anyone.
And it's affordable.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I think people think sometimes it's going to be too expensive. A lot of the times we're cheaper than an exterminator if we're removing a swarm or whatever else. It might be a bit more expensive when you're talking about a structure, but you don't have to call a roofer in or somebody to do your repair. We do all of it. And we don't lag, and we do everything the same day, and we get in and out, and we want you happy. I want my customers to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And, we work with the city of Los Angeles, and it's been, they promote these things. Oh, pollinator friendly habitat. Pull out your grass and plant pollinator friendly habitat, and we'll pay you a certain amount of money per square foot. But then the city kills, if they get calls about the bees, the bees.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have fought with them on these higher levels. And I'm telling you, some of these people, I don't know if they don't think, they don't care. They're like brain dead. It's about, like, I've sat in meetings with policymakers, people that are high up, work for the mayor's office, work for and some of them are like, this isn't on record, right? I'm not on the record. I'm like, no, I don't know what you mean. Like, yeah, I really want these type of programs and stuff, but, I don't want to sound like the idiot or the one who doesn't know what they're talking about. So I just keep what I know, to myself. And I'm like, oh, great. Are there a lot of people like you? Yeah, the majority. Wonderful. And then you talk to somebody, and there's too many people in these positions. There's redundancy in positions that you don't need. And then you never get to the high enough person that's going to make the decision. And then the person that you tell below them, maybe they'll remember, maybe they won't, maybe they'll tell somebody, maybe not.
Exactly.
And right, these are the things. So they want you to do these things, and then they reward you for them. But the majority of people are catching on to become smart enough to know, I don't even want to call the city if there's bees in a parkway tree or in a meter box on the street, because they're going to kill them. I've watched them hundreds of times, people that are so disconnected come out and just dump poison where you're walking your dogs and your children and yourself all the time. 40,000 bees are dead. There's pesticide everywhere. And that's who the city sends out. And these people have zero working knowledge of how our environment works. And I have gotten upset sometimes. I'm sure you can tell I'm an outspoken person and very passionate. And I'm like, I've come up on them, or I've seen them happen. I'm like, are you kidding right now? I'm like, I know this is your job, but do you realize that when you go home and eat, you're going to thank the bees for it? That you have to be more mindful than this?
Yeah.
And some of them will say they don't care, but some of them will say, I know, I don't want to do that, but this is my job and this is what I've been told to do. Go get a job. Go get a different job.
Yeah.
Leave that job. Go do something that makes you happy.
Be responsible. Be ethical.
You can't just rely on somebody else and think that it's the next person that's going to do it.
Yeah, it's
How's
hard.
that worked out so far?
Yeah, and it's hard. Like, people are just, it's my job. I'm getting paid. This is what feeds me.
That's the mind. That's the mind control, though. That's the programming. This is really your money, but we're going to tax you and then take more and then tax you for everything else down the line and then give you a very, very, very small amount, but you need this piece of paper, or how are you going to survive?
Yeah.
People are too afraid to, and they have forgotten their power.
Yeah.
Humanity has forgotten their power of how beautiful and smart and forward thinking that they are. They've forgotten what their roles are, to know that if they actually realize that again in self-realization, so much could change very, very quickly. You don't have to be scared of that boss, that job, that place. You don't even need any of that.
Yeah.
That's just it, right? And then you have all the people that rely on government and their government checks. And those people will never say anything. They may feel that they want to, but they're too frightened because they don't want to lose a little bit that they have.
Yeah. And just like with my friends, that place with the towers and the condo, it looks nice, but it's cheaper to rent because it probably has the towers.
Right? Exactly.
So even though I sent the person the link to it, I'm not going to suggest to go look at it because it's not ethical for me to do that.
No, and I do a lot of work with my pendulum and energy work too, and you can check and right away you would get the answer that it's not the.
Well, no, just by seeing the neighborhood, I should have used Google Maps even before I sent, like, this is being ethical, before I sent the link to her as a suggestion, because the condo looks nice. Living environment is nice, but the surrounding isn't. So.
Right. That's a lot of things in life, that what you first see, the first thing, can be very inviting and beautiful, but the devil is in the details.
Yes.
If the scary, scary entities came to you sometimes here on this planet, being as ugly and disgusting as they really are, their true self, people would run the other way a million miles an hour. They don't. They shift into something else to make themselves look that they love you and that they care and that you can trust them, or this place or this food or this product, right? And it's not, because they have to in some way fool you, or you would never take the bait.
Exactly.
You
yes. Being ethical, I'm not going to suggest a place for my friend to live that has cell towers or electromagnetic towers. I'm not going to do that. It also teaches me, when I look at places, look at the surroundings before I suggest something to somebody as well.
That's true. It's true.
Because I'm even responsible for sending a link to somebody of something.
With your best intention, you're doing that. And we're never going to be perfect, right? There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah.
But if we did our part with our highest intention for that person, we did a good job. And then if we realized we saw something later that we could have learned for next time, that's the whole point. There's no shame in making mistakes.
Yeah.
There's shame in, my mom used to always say, there's shame in not learning from them. So if you do something and it's not exactly what you wanted, or it was a mistake, or you thought there was a better way and you were shown, then next time, make that difference, make that change. Or the complacency will be exactly what they bank on of you never doing anything. Like all of this, through all of this pandemic, nobody ever spoke about how important it was to go outside and ground yourself and just put your feet into the earth, or to eat better and to stay exercising, right? Or to how important vitamin D is for your immune system, the sun, how important vitamin C is. Just a few things that you can take and do, and they scare everybody to say, put a whole bunch, and something we've been working on, a product line of natural sunscreens and things to protect your body and your lips and your face and babies. So, all of these sunscreens are out in the stores. They're full of chemicals, and
Mhm.
I have done so much research. I have hundreds of pages of information that I have written. These chemicals cause cancer.
Yeah.
They want you to put it on in very liberal amounts, keep lathering it on every so often, as soon as the time expires,
Yeah.
so that you block yourself from the sun. But in all honesty, through all that I have learned, the best natural sunscreen that you can have is a good tan. And I mean that in a sense that if you are very light skinned, I'm not saying go outside and sit into the sun until you burn your skin and you're like, oh, I hope that gets darker. No, I mean, go out into the sun if you have light skin and maybe spend 10 minutes, done. Then maybe in a couple of days or the next day, you go out and spend a little bit more time like you would in sun gazing, where you build up to this, right?
Yes.
And you're not burning your skin and causing trauma.
No.
You're feeding your body with the healthy part of the sun, which gives life to right, everything here.
Yeah.
And then you don't put the sunblock on your body. Once you've built up, that's why you see people who have darker skin, they don't have levels of skin cancer the way that we do in other countries, right? Because they're able to be outside in the sun all day long because they have built up enough melanin in their skin now that they're protected from the part that is harmful. But they don't teach that. They're putting sunscreen on babies so young. That stuff is poison to your body. It is going through the body, and women who are nursing, it is coming through the milk.
It's going to lactate.
Reproductive system. Yes, it can cause all kinds of problems in your body. Don't use it. So I would just tell people who see this, please just start being more mindful and read the labels of things.
Yeah.
Right. And all the things that you see, if it's a preservative, you don't need it. If it's a harmful preservative, you don't need it. If it's a chemical you can't pronounce, not natural, you don't need it. If it's all of these things, just take a minute and Google what that ingredient is. If you look at something and the first 5 ingredients are like high fructose corn syrup and something you can't pronounce and BHT and blah, 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 just Google those, because that is what the majority of that product has in those first line of ingredients, and see what it does to you.
Plus it feels icky and gross on the skin. So if it doesn't feel smooth, it's probably got a lot of product that's not healthy. If it's like most of sunscreen, commercial sunscreens are icky and it's not pleasant under the skin. So most people just don't buy it anyway and look for organic sunscreen.
Right. And you can even fully organic. You can even use coconut oil. You can use banana oil. You can use a lot of things, but you can also just let yourself get a little bit sun.
Yes.
And vitamin D is actually more than just a vitamin. It's actual essential mineral for the body.
Yes.
People who become sick are usually lacking vitamin D.
Yeah.
And it is proven, it's a scientific fact, your immune system is greatly suffering from this. So a lot of people who are getting sick or who have gotten sick from a virus or whatever else, they lack vitamin D.
Zinc and other minerals, vitamin B12, so many things that you can take with natural organic supplements and get vitamin D from the sun. And you're also breathing fresh air, which is oxygenating your body and your brain.
Right, absolutely. See, back to the simplicity of things. They've complicated it so much, like those really detrimental electromagnetic frequencies that don't make any sense. They have people running in circles. They have people stuck in a maze because you don't know who to believe. You don't know what's going on. You just want to be happy. People just want to live happy. I can tell you that I know in my heart, people don't want the good, the humanity here, or the human species that is here, that's not benevolent of the other species that are here, or whatever the evil is trying to do. The majority of people on this planet are good people. They want to live in peace.
Yeah.
They don't care what your skin color is. They don't care what you eat. They don't care what music you listen to. They don't care what you celebrate. They don't care what language. We don't care. We don't care. We just want to be happy. And they have figured out a way to just keep us divided so that we question everything else. accept them, accept them, right? So I remember a time, and I don't know when it was, but I just keep feeling like I remember living at a time where everything was more on like of a barter system. So we figured out who did what and where we lived. And so if we needed something, we all just did for each other, you know, in whatever we needed. Things were still paid for, but I just remember our collective being much different. And everybody had fun. Like, think about how many different foods you eat. Mexican food, Italian food. I'm Italian, Sicilian, I'm Native American, right? So I enjoy all those foods, but I enjoy like so many more. So that means I have something inside of me that is attracted to all of these different things, right? These different ethnicities, which means I like them, which means I like the culture, which means I'd like to know more, which is the same simplicity you can ask yourself. We could just be so much happier if we just simplified this and realized that we're kind of being played.
Yeah, totally. And you are making a difference by helping to save the environments, by helping to save the bees and other animals. And that's making a difference in a different business modality, in a different organic business. It starts from the little people. Yeah, it starts from us.
Because we don't have to do this. It is very time consuming. Sometimes in being an empath too and picking up energies, it's taken me some of the reasons why I've come to you, how to learn, you know, how to better protect myself, because I have an influx of energies coming through from so many different places every day. And it's all over the place. So I can feel what people are going through. I can see it. I can hear it. And it saddens me because that means they've picked it up along their journey. So being out there.
Can I recommend for you for shielding and protecting yourself? I'm picking up for you obsidian bracelet and shungite or tourmaline.
So I should show you. I have it. I have some beautiful shungite, and it's in a summer in mercadas, and they're shaped. Yes. Okay. And tourmaline too.
Yeah, but tourmaline bracelets and obsidian bracelets, that'll protect your energy so much better. And that's just by reading your body field that I'm picking that up right now. For you, black tourmaline is good, and black obsidian. There's also green tourmaline, because tourmaline comes in different colors. So you can mix both, and wearing tourmaline and obsidian together would be okay for you.
Okay, good. Because I think sometimes people don't realize it. Some, depending on how they are, they just take my energy. If they're not in a good place, they take it all. Some don't even know that they're doing it. It's just their energetic field is looking for light. So then they take it. And I come back and I'm like, I feel
drained.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I just want to bury myself somewhere. And I'm like, how can this be? How can this be? How can this be? I try to just stick to myself, you know, how can this be?
Your auric field is open. So we're going to teach you the auric field stuff and how to modulate your shields.
Yeah. And when I do remember, it helps. And then I forget.
Yeah, but we'll learn how to program it. So it's there modulating constantly. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. My shields are being modulated to protect me with the highest loving energy, so nobody can penetrate this. Nobody can come into my auric field and take from me. So it's just about teaching the mind how to work with your body energy and how to block intruders. So we'll work on those things. But for now, the tourmaline and the black obsidian will help you to just naturally keep your energy so they can't take your energy.
Right. I would love it because I'm giving. I always want to give, right? So my heart is always open.
You don't want it taken from you.
I don't want it taken. And in this life, you know, I'm an Aries sun sign and a Leo rising. And I'm very familiar with Mars energy, good and bad. Like I feel like it is just ingrained into my DNA. So I'm also the like baby of this zodiac here that's like, you know, surrounded by the fierce warriors to protect me. And I'm like this baby in the middle. So I look kind of strong and, you know, super strong on the outside, but then on the inside, I'm like, you know, I get hurt and I get sometimes taken advantage of, and I want to give a lot and I want to help a lot, but I have to realize that it has to be done properly or I'm not going to be in good health or good places to be able to keep doing that, you know?
Exactly. Like
So
the amount of work you do and the energy, because you work with different people so much. So, and you receive energy from them and they go into your energy field. So we'll work on balancing that out to just cleanse as well, not just shield and protect, but also cleanse. So nobody can really take from you what you don't want taken.
yeah, and there's sometimes, I mean, I feel great and wonderful, you know, and my mind, you know, your mind plays a big part of that. That chatter in your mind is not who you are, and that's the part that keeps you sick and worried and stressful and all of the things that you don't want to be. And when you can learn to quiet the mind and realize you're really so much more than that, and you can see your life kind of like as if you were sitting at the back of the theater watching the movie play out rather than the front row where your neck hurts from trying to sit there and see everything and it's just a small part. Things change very quickly for you. And so I guess there's sometimes though, depending on what I am going through or picking up or digesting, that I don't feel well, you know, or my belly doesn't feel well, or my body doesn't feel well. So yeah,
or your back takes the brunt of when the energy's stolen.
Yeah, my back has been, I did have several back injuries through sports and car accidents in my life, but now I am suffering from like tremendous back pain. I had a fracture in my spine long time ago, but I feel like I'm literally being targeted sometimes with the back pain that I have that I cannot, or the like pelvic pain or the things that, and I'm, you know, looking for answers and I'm energetically checking, and thank God, knock on wood, I'm not sick like that, but
you're not sick. It's when they steal your energy, when somebody like an energy vampire takes your energy, where do you think the blockage goes? It goes back to the old traumas of the back pain. The energy is mostly siphoned off of from the back because that's a soft spot for you. It's a trigger point. You've healed a lot of it, but when they take your energy, the most energy is drained from the back and the neck. And that's when the old stuff comes back.
And then my belly. And I'm not allergic to food. I changed my diet because I wanted to. I don't eat gluten. Very like, if I do, it's maybe accidental, or I don't eat dairy anymore. I don't eat meat. I really have learned how to take care of myself, which they don't teach you. If you want to become vegetarian or vegan, they don't tell you how to do it. It took me quite a while, and my hair was kind of like shedding more. It was just because I wasn't receiving all the things that I needed to. But once I figured it out, it's easy. You know, it's something you can do every day. But then I just have like the digestive issues that I never had before ever in my life, of like the tummy pain or the bloating or the feelings of just not, it's like, it must be a weak spot.
What kind of fruit do you eat?
So I try to be careful because sometimes I'm okay with it and sometimes I am not.
Yeah, it's the acidity from certain fruits that causes tummy pain. Just me looking at your aura right now, it's just some acidity, even drink. Be careful what you drink or eat fruit wise, because something, the acid is causing the stomach to hurt. So
yeah, and I can't break down sugar like I used to. And then if I'm already kind of drained, and then I eat, then it could be something that was fine and fared well with me just the day before, but then it's not, there's some sort of blockage.
But when I look at your stomach, I just feel like it doesn't break down acid enzymes from certain types of fruits or even drinks. So it has to do with acidity in the stomach. Okay. So,
but I did take many years. They put me on, like when I was pregnant before, I had like heartburn. I got a hiatal hernia from a car accident, and a lot of women get it from being pregnant. So they put me on medication, a proton pump inhibitor years ago. And I didn't know that long-term use had adverse effects on the body. They kept me on it for way too long. Like, you need hydrochloric acid in your body, your stomach, to actually break the food down. But when you get rid of it, this is.
Yeah, the acid enzymes don't always work correctly with certain fruits and fibers. If it's too fibrous and too porous, it's too acidic. So this is just psychically.
No, it resonates well. So I'm going to be careful of what I mix. And I do better when I'm simple, like not putting all of these different things together.
Yeah.
I do better if I just eat, like, I'm a different person, to be honest with you, right? I could eat anything, anytime, fine. Now I have to just really be mindful and check, like, I'm better if I just eat one thing or one or two things, and I don't mix all of these different things together.
Yeah, and because you don't want too much acid enzymes or too much lactic acid in your body.
Yeah, I can't break it down.
No, you can't. It's this. The stomach lining is not properly breaking down the acidics. But again, this is getting into the psychic stuff.
Yes. So I'm gonna have some honey after this, and but for people too, like, that are having these issues, you can energetically, like, get better to unblock these things so that you can be happy and eat well. And if your body is not responding to something, look, your higher self gives you the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Whether or not we listen to them, that's a different question, right?
Yes.
So if you're interacting with something that ends up making you sick, it wasn't good for you.
Yeah.
You may not want to accept that. So we keep doing those kind of relationships and those kind of things. If you eat something once, twice, okay, it makes you sick, but not again, okay, fine. But if it's something that's continuous, slow down, listen to your body, or do muscle testing even, and see if it works with you. And if it doesn't, don't eat it. Don't do it. Don't go there.
Yeah, don't eat it. Don't drink it, because drinks too, or anything you put on your skin.
I can't drink soda anymore, which I don't.
No, you can't drink carbonated soda. The acid enzyme in that is too much for your stomach.
Yeah, I become the very female, not quickly belching, like, person. So can't do that either.
Sodas are not good.
No.
But also,
anything that has chemicals, I am very sensitive to. So I might not know what it is, but if I ingest it, something tells me right away that something is off. My like CPU is something's not right.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll work on those things in what we're going to be doing. I just felt like you're a kindred spirit. The moment you contacted me and I saw bees. No, the email. The email, the bees. Yes. The minute I heard bees, I've always been interested in bee conservation and beekeeping. I'm like, she's the right person to explain how that works.
Thank you.
So I just instantly,
so much.
Yeah, and I'm like, why is somebody about bees contacting me? And it wasn't about bees, but it really was about bees.
It was, and I was so drawn to you, and I found you a while ago, and I've listened to a lot of your stuff, and then some things resonate with me, like, really deeply, but I can't put all of them together. So that's why I've come to you. Like, I have grown so much, and have remembered so much, right? But some I can't, and I need to put those missing pieces together. And then hearing your voice, I'm very sensitive to sound. Some sound, like, in ways that people wouldn't understand, but I think you're very sensitive too. Yes. And so when I heard your voice, I was like, who is that? Like, I need to, and I was listening to you, but then I had to look at you and see you. And I was like, okay, I need to get to her and find her. And then I told my husband, I was like, I'm just going to text her. And instead of sending the email, I first text you. And I was like, I wonder if it's her number. And then you responded. And I was like, I told my husband, I'm like, really? I felt so honored.
Oh, and I'm so honored to work with you in different ways, because you have wisdom, you have something to share that you and I are doing together today. And it's for something else we'll do when we work
I think
together
so.
as well. So today is really about us getting to know each other, talking to each other about your knowledge of saving bees and helping the people with other things as well.
Right, and I try to teach too how good hemp and bamboo is. So it's something that we've been doing too, instead of cutting down all of the forests and having this wood that we could use hemp to build our houses for, and it's fire retardant and it's anti-fungus and it's I mean, grows so fast, right? And bamboo the same. We could have everything made from that and stop hurting our rainforest and part of the climate change, and then getting rid of the environment for our animals and our, you know, different species. So it's something else that we're working on too, and building bee boxes out of these types of things, and placing these types of bee boxes in different parts of properties and for our farmers up, and building like treehouse bee boxes and lots of things. I think maybe in another life somewhere a long time ago, I was like I dealt with building different types of terraforms. I don't know, but I just remember that. And so I guess now I've come through and taken a portion of what I've learned here to do it here.
And coming back, that's organic business.
It's such a fun way to be. And I wish we could just like magically drop that information into people when they sleep or when you talk to them, that it just encodes and imprints, you know, immediately, like how good it feels to give back. I want to give more in this life than what I took from this earth, because the earth does not need us. I'm convinced we need her. She does not need us. Look at anywhere on the planet that people have not gone to, and it's beautiful. It's perfect. Yeah. It's like everything we touch, we just seem to mistakenly or inadvertently, or some people are purposely, they ruin it.
But you're helping to keep it safe and stable, and that's part of your life mission. It's part of that sustainability, because you've had lifetimes in Atlantis, Lemuria, you have lifetimes in Fiji even. So it's interesting.
I just got the chills. I am so, I just keep drinking Fiji water out of nowhere. I don't know why I'm so connected to it. I tell everybody about it. I have it. I'm like, just drink Fiji constantly.
Oh, you studied, I just pick up that you were some kind of a scientist in Fiji, like a nature conservationist scientist, like just studying the plants, just studying the ecosystem of how to keep plants alive, the exotic things. It's just, but it was not like, you know, scientists in school, university, it was nature scientist.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's a confirmation. The dogs are like,
all of a sudden I have like, they're huge horses, Weimaraners, and they've been super quiet, relaxing, but some of them are young. So now they're like, whatever you were talking about and doing, just went crazy.
Yeah, well, they pick up on the sense of something's happening. Somebody's tapping into your energy, because I'm looking. So the Fiji experience was literally living in nature, studying exotic plants, the ecosystem, and how to keep everything alive.
Music to my ears.
Yeah, so it's like, it's so interesting. That's why you working with the ecology is so important in this lifetime, because it's about bringing back and giving back to nature.
I agree.
Bees are wisdom keepers. That's why I chose to work with them, because they're the most vulnerable and the most smallest, but they have the most loudest voices.
If you could hear what I hear, and I'm sure you hear a portion of this from the animal community, right? They, and when you do hear the real voices from the animals, it breaks your heart at first. Yeah. I have a saying, it's in my living room, about like, there once was a girl who, you know, could hear the voices of animals for a moment, and then she never stopped crying, you know, right? But when you hear them, you're just like, and then you see them go about their business and go about their day, and they keep working and doing what they're supposed to do, hoping that we're gonna do what we said we promised to do.
But
we've broken these promises. Like we definitely could do better.
But you're keeping your promise and you're doing better. So that's fulfilling your soul mission of balancing nature, balancing the environment with the animals. You're doing that. And that's your soul mission in this lifetime, to balance that out.
If you look how animals are, they're so carefree. They don't worry about what is going to happen in 5 minutes or 5 days or anything. They just live in the moment. Every time, if you have animals, every time you leave and come back, they're as just excited to see you as if you come and go 10 times. You know, they are in the moment, pure energetic beings. And it's important because they pick up on your energy too, which may be another reason why your animals sometimes are falling more ill these days from what they're picking up on. Some just tried to come through the door, what they're picking up on us.
Yep. So I think this is a good time now to, I think we're good at where we are in the interview. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If anybody has questions, you can, I'll send the information to you, but if anybody has questions or just wants to learn more, they can call me, contact me, email me. I can send them information. We do different types of workshops, and as soon as everything is opening again, you know, schools and kids with beekeeping classes and all kinds of stuff. But if anybody just wants any more information and some really good resources, send them my way and I'd be more than happy to
so what's your website where people can reach you?
So they can go to, they can reach me at beecatchers@gmail, just BEECATCHERS@gmail for email purposes. And then you can look at the websites beecatcherssocal.com. So there's 2 S's in there. And then BeeQuilibriumFoundation.org is our 501. So any of those places, go and learn. And we kind of got halted last year with everything going on because so much was closed on a lot of the programs that we do. We do a huge big thing at the zoo, and we do lots of things at different conservancies every year, and we go and teach, and we give away a lot of like seed packets and organic stuff to grow. So hopefully this year we'll be able to do a lot, you know, resume with those things. But they can check out any of those things, and if they just want to learn more, or any of them are close to my area and are interested, send them my way. I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Take care.
You too. Bye.